It was 2022. I was 19 years old, and in my freshman year of university, on Tinder, desperately looking for a woman to match with so that I could lose my virginity. Let me take you a few months back to how I got into this position. So it was towards the end of 2021 when I was 18 years old and about to graduate high school in a few months, and our yearly ball was about to come up. Ball is prom night for Americans watching this video. And I remember going to that ball night alone. Of course, no woman was attracted to me at all. And I was expecting all of my friends to appear alone as well. I mean, our whole group of friends, we were just a bunch of quiet, shy, introverted, socially awkward guys. None of us really had any girlfriends throughout the 4 years of high school that we had together. But guess what? I walk into that ball night, that one night, dressed all nicely, ready to have a good time with my friends, when I see one of my best mates at the time bring a girl, which shocked the hell out of me. So apparently they've been talking for a few weeks, and my friend asked this girl out to bowl, and she said yes. And so I'm just there, trying to dance, trying to have a good time with my other extremely lonely friends. But I couldn't really have a good time. You know why? Because when I looked at my friend who was dancing with that girl, he kissed her. And when I saw that, I wasn't jealous, but rather if in my heart, it just felt like I was missing out on that. Because it felt like I lacked that intimacy when growing up. And a few weeks would go past after that point, and my friend would then tell me that him and that girl have started dating. So he was actually the first among our friend group to get a girlfriend. And that was cool and all. But then another few weeks go past, right? And get this. I would soon get notice that my friend had finally lost his virginity. And when I heard that, there was a twinge in my heart telling me that I was missing out. I was missing out on this intimacy. I wanted to know what it was like to get close to a girl. Because again, I was somebody who grew up always feeling the need of others' approval and validation. I was always very distant from my family and never had a girlfriend, nor even kissed a girl in my entire life. I grew up with two older brothers and a strict father, with my mom pretty much being the only person who I could talk to. My mom was genuinely the only girl that I was talking to. I was painfully lonely. And so I'd fill my loneliness with adult content. I would watch adult content to kind of fill that void that I was always feeling. And with video games, junk food, bad habits, this was one of the things that truly destroyed me mentally. I wanted to know what it was like to get close to a girl. And so for me, I wholeheartedly thought that whatever my friend was experiencing at this moment with this girl, this intimacy that he was getting, he seemed so happy. That was the same intimacy that I needed to break myself out of the spell that I was in. And so I swore to myself that this next year, 2022, when I start university for the first time, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get female intimacy in my life. Whatever it takes. I didn't even care how I did it. I just knew I needed it. Because I was just so tired of just watching adult content to fill this void. I wanted the real thing. And fast forward, let's say 4 to 5 months, it's the next year now, and I'm in university, and this is exactly what brings me to the point of my life where I'm now on Tinder, desperately looking for girls to match with. But unfortunately for me, I thought I'd make a big mistake. You know why? When I opened my account, I'd find out that I had 0 matches. There was no girls that was liking me. That made me feel a little bit inadequate. You know, it genuinely did lower my self-esteem, because I based a lot of my own self-worth on my appearance, which obviously wasn't really gaining much traction on Tinder. So I just ended up closing Tinder in defeat, kind of just accepting the fact that I was unlovable. Until, let's say, a few days would go past, and I was just in my room as usual playing my favorite game at the time, which was Overwatch, when all of a sudden I'd realized that I got a match. However, when I looked at her profile, let's just say I didn't quite find her that attractive. Nothing against her, I just personally didn't find her that attractive. So I was kind of bummed out by that, considering that the only girl that I matched with was somebody who I didn't even find attractive myself. Until I took a look at her bio, and it read this: tell me your star sign, and I'll tell you if I'm DTF. Down to... yeah. And since I was just super desperate, I did the worst thing possible, and I decided to text this girl, Leo, which is my star sign. That's how desperate I was. And then the worst thing happens. She actually replies, and she says, I'm down, or I'm keen, or something like that, right? Pretty much it was a yeah. To me. DTF. Oh boy. When I read that, my heart dropped out of my chest, my body. It just flew out of this world. Because I have never once in my life ever received a text like that from a girl. Ever. I didn't even talk to girls. I haven't even kissed a girl in my life, let alone. That feeling I was feeling in that moment, it was just like the lust that I would get whenever I would get an urge to watch adult content on my phone, but 100 times worse. 100 times worse. It was the most lustful that I'd ever feel in my life. And here's the reason for why I even thought about doing this in the first place. It's because I really thought to myself that I would never get an opportunity like this ever again in my life. Because again, for a majority of my life, I felt so unloved, unwanted, undesired, lonely. I really thought to myself that this was the opportunity of a lifetime, that I'd never get to experience this with anybody else. Because remember, I got 0 matches on dating apps, and all the experiences I've had in the past basically led me to believe that I was unlovable. So to me, this was, it was a jackpot. And so the day of the meetup happens, and I'm in my university class, a few hours before the meetup, trying to learn physics, but I can't even focus on what the teacher is saying, because literally just in a few hours from now, I'm going to lose my virginity. The nervousness I was feeling in this moment is something I can't even just explain to you. You know how that nervousness that you get before you enter like a carnival ride, right? Like a giant roller coaster? That times 50. And so the class ends up ending, right? And my friends during that moment, the guys that I kind of talked with in class, kind of wanted to go and get lunch with me. And I was like, oh, no, you guys can go get lunch. I gotta go home and, you know, do stuff. Obviously that was a lie, right? I just think I was just too ashamed to even tell my friends what I was about to do. Because I think I was scared that if I showed them, like, they'd ask me for like a picture of her, and then I'd be ashamed to even show them. And so quickly after the class ended, I just ran to the bathroom and I freshened up. I put my perfume on, my nice smelling perfume. I even remember like taking off my pants and like washing my bowls in the sink. I'm not even joking, bro. It was a long day. I was sweating throughout this entire day, just thinking about what was about to happen. And so after cleaning myself up, I'd walk over to the boba tea shop where we were planning to meet up. And I was nervous as heck, bro, but I would end up meeting up with her. And it was awkward. You know, I missed the hug. I started stuttering my words. It was horrible. But thankfully, she didn't seem like she even seemed to care. Because the next thing you know, and we're already walking back to her place. She lived in the uni dorms, which was literally like a 5-minute walk from university. Makes it very, very convenient for what we were about to do. We both knew why we were there. It wasn't there for idle chit-chat. We weren't there to try to get to know each other. We were there for one thing and one thing only, and it wasn't pretty. The next thing you know, and she's holding my hand, leading me upstairs, walking up the stairs to her room. And I'm just feeling so nervous, bro. You have no idea. My heart's pounding out of my chest. I haven't even kissed a girl, and I'm about to lose my virginity in 5 minutes from now. Imagine my heart during this moment. I'm sure it was beating over 100 beeps per minute. And the next thing you know, I'm on her bed, sitting there just so awkward, sweating still, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to make the first move, not knowing what to even do. Literally, right? But then the next thing you know, and she makes the first move on me. And so despite me not really being that attracted to this girl, somehow I was still pretty turned on. And it was because of all of the adult content I would watch on my phone. It was getting me hyped up. It was creating these false expectations in my brain for what the actual thing was going to be like. And I think that the thought itself of that just had me turned on. What is this going to feel like? Oh my gosh. And before you know it, that's exactly how I lost my virginity. I'm telling you, bro, the post-nut clarity I got, it was bad. And when I mean bad, you know the post-nut clarity you get when you just finish watching like a 3-hour session of adult content. That doesn't compare to what I felt that day. It was 50 times worse. It was the worst post-nut clarity that I got in my entire life. And to make things even worse, right after that, she wanted to keep on cuddling me, right? And I was just like, oh yeah, I'll cuddle you. And even though every single ounce of my body wanted me to get the hell out of there, I wanted out of there, bro, because I knew I did something that I should not have done. I knew I fucked up. And so now I'm just in her bed. She's holding on to me not really knowing what to do in this situation. I start pretending like I'm asleep. No, because I didn't really want to leave like straight away, even though I really wanted to. Because I guess that would have made me feel like a bad person, which I felt like a pretty bad person already there. And so I'm just laying there, guilt, shame, all these shameful emotions that are literally like coursing through my veins. And if I were to describe how I felt in this moment, I would feel hollow. It was hollow. Because I realized I had let my ancestors down. I'd lost my virginity with somebody who I didn't find attractive at all. But not just the attractiveness, I didn't have an emotional connection with this girl whatsoever. It was a moment of lust and desperation that I thought would help cure this feeling of isolation and loneliness. Because I saw that my friend was so happy when he lost his virginity and was with his girl. But all it did for me was just make it 50 times worse. Because this made me feel 50 times worse than I ever did. And that's also when I realized that what I did was simply just an extension of what I have been doing since I was 12 years old. And that's watching adult content. It was the same thing, it was the same void that I was trying to fill, but this time I added somebody else into the mix. And so eventually I pretended like I just woke up from a deep nap, and I pretended like I got a phone call from my dad and just started talking to nobody. Then I hung up the imaginary phone and I told her that I had to go because I was too much of a pussy. Yeah. And on that bus ride back home, I swore to myself that I would never do anything like that ever again. And I'd love to tell you that that was the last time, but I'd be lying to you if I said it was, because unfortunately it wasn't, you know. Throughout the following years, I'd still have trouble with lust and desperation with women. It was difficult getting over this. But through enough trial and error, through enough fucked experiences like that, 3 years down the line, the start of this year happens, and after enough physical, mental developments, God also made his presence very known to me. I realized what was causing this temptation in the first place, and it ties back to why I was so envious of my friend back in high school. It's simply, I just wanted to feel loved. That's all it was. I just wanted to feel loved and not so alone. And now I'm at a point where I can safely tell you that I do have that love. I do have that love for myself that I didn't have before. I'd still have moments where I do feel like not loving myself, but in general I do have that now. That desperation, that lust, isn't there anymore. It's gone. Simply because I found what I needed the most this entire time, and it was simply the love that I needed to give myself. And I'm in such a better place now than I was back 3 years ago. I'm sorry for repeating certain stories on this channel. I just feel like I didn't get this message across quite as well as I could have the last time I did tell it. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy telling the stories like this. You know, it's really not. And I do know I'm probably going to get a lot of, funny comments. If you take a look at the comments underneath this video, I bet the top one is going to be like either, what did bro do now? Or like, not even Batman could get this information out of me, which is okay. I don't mind it at all, because I know there are a lot of lonely guys out there that were in the same position as I was. And I made this video specifically for those lonely men, because I know how much of a problem this really is. Besides just the lust. Besides the lust, that's just what's on top. If we dive deeper into the actual reasoning why, at least for me, it was because I was lonely. I wanted intimacy, I felt unloved, and I thought having that experience, that type of female experience, would change that. But it didn't. It felt good in the moment, whatever, right? But afterwards, I just got hit with this pool of regret. And dude, I know, loneliness, it gets to us sometimes, it does. It's a primal human feeling, desire. You shouldn't feel ashamed to feel the way you do, especially considering how disconnected everybody is nowadays. But just know, at the end of the day, just because you're feeling this feeling doesn't mean you should let it control you and your actions. It's just a feeling at the end of the day. Feelings fade. It's what you do with your life regardless of having that feeling in your heart. That feeling that eats at you every day. It's what you do with your life regardless of having that weight on your shoulders. That's what really matters, my friend. Be better than me. Be better than me. It's funny. I called myself unlovable, but how can I say that if the life I was living was like a slob? If I didn't do anything with my life? If all I did was just stay home and play video games and rot away? I'm not saying those things are bad, but that's just how my life was. So frankly, bro, I didn't deserve to say that I was unlovable if I frankly just didn't even put in the effort into myself, needed to even say that in the first place. The fact is, I never put any effort in myself. So of course I got this treatment from people, from girls. Of course I was addicted to adult content. Of course I would get myself into this situation if that was the life that I was living. All it took was a few years of development for me to finally just be the happiest I've been in my life. To finally put some respect, some damn respect on my last name. And I'm not saying that I'm slaying every 10 out of 10 girl that comes my way. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that I'm comfortable with being on my own. That I don't need to act in such a desperate way anymore. I don't have that need of doing that. And that comes by knowing your worth as an individual. Yeah? And sometimes, a lot of times, us guys, us lonely guys, we tend to put our own worth down simply because we can't attract the girls that we really want. And so we settle for less. Don't settle, my friend. Don't settle. Don't ever settle. Please. The moment you settle is the moment you lose all the respect you have for yourself. It will diminish. And if you don't even have the mental respect, the admiration, the love for yourself, then what do you have? You have nothing. Nothing at all. Patience is a virtue, my friend. And pair that patience with unrelenting self-development. And you, and I mean this with all my heart, you, I don't care what position you're in right now. You will be shocked one day at just how lucky you really are. You will be shocked. And I don't care what you look like, I don't care who you are. All it needs is some time and hard work. Don't let loneliness and desperation dictate your actions. What I did just made me feel so unworthy of being a man. If I'm being completely honest with you, it did. And I just don't want you to experience that same feeling. And dude, I know sometimes it might feel like you're getting put last. Sometimes it might feel like people just don't care. People just don't want to connect with you. I understand that, dude. I understand that more than anyone. But just stay strong. Stay strong. Don't settle for somebody who you just don't even have a bond with. No emotional connection to whatsoever. Save yourself for somebody who you actually admire, who admires you. Then that will actually be something that's truly magical, my friend. And there will come a point in time in your life where you'll be so glad that you saved yourself, that you waited. You don't have to wait till marriage if you don't want to, but just save yourself as somebody special. Because then it'll become special. You'll be so glad that you did wait. Because you would have developed yourself. You would have developed your character into a person who can attract the right type of person that you actually want. And there's nothing better than that. All this lust shit is just pointless. It doesn't lead you anywhere. It just leads you down a path of sorrow, nothingness, emptiness. It's just instant pleasure. The moment it's done is the moment you regret all the decision you made. And it just feels like shit. Find that happiness in yourself. It's the best thing you can do, because once you find that happiness in yourself, that's when others will come flocking towards you, my friend. I can safely guarantee that. Have a good one. Goodbye.